Residents say the city of Gary has long been a dumping ground for industrial facilities that pollute their air, soil, and water. Some residents want to change that. They filed a civil rights complaint against the state, which they say continues to allow these facilities in their community. Rebecca Thiel reports while the Indiana Department of Environmental Management says it doesn't have the authority to deny permits in communities overburdened by pollution, the federal government disagrees.
It's no surprise that Gary's industrial history has also come with a legacy of pollution. We met local historian Corey Shepard by the old Georgia Pacific paper mill, which made things like paper towels and tissues from the late 1940s until it closed in the early 2000s.
When this was in full swing, they just polluted the river, they polluted all the land back here, they dumped wherever they wanted to dump, and other companies from outside of the city actually used to use their landfills as well. And it was just a dumping party and just pollution all over the place.
Even the story of how the city was founded brings up environmental justice concerns. Shepard says back in the early 1900s, the company that would eventually become part of U.S. Steel was looking to expand their plant in Chicago, but residents near the plant weren't having it. Instead, Shepard said the company decided to build in an area with less resistance, northwest Indiana, where executives already own some of the land for hunting.
And it just seems like we have not learned the lessons from the past at all. They still allow for these companies to come to Gary specifically, but you don't hear them trying to establish these types of companies in Crown Point or in Sherrillville.
It's true that if you look at a map of industrial plants and hazardous waste sites in northwest Indiana, they all seem to cluster around cities like Gary and East Chicago, where at least 80% of residents are Black, Latino, or other people of color. So when the state extended the permit for a waste processing plant, residents with GARD, Gary Advocates for Responsible Development, had had enough. Steel City Academy Charter School sits right across the street from the proposed Maya Energy plant. If it gets built, residents worry it could mean more pollution and truck traffic near where these kids learn and play. They also worry it could pollute a rare artisan well nearby where water naturally bubbles up from the ground. GARD filed a federal civil rights complaint against the Indiana Department of Environmental Management for extending Maya Energy's permit. Co-founder Kimmy Gordon says this discrimination is nothing new. But GARD felt like now was the right time to act. The Biden administration has made environmental justice a focus.
If we continue to allow this to happen time and time again and over, when Gary is at full capacity for industrial pollution and contaminants, then where will we be? If not now, then when?
We're here at Miller Beach, and as you can see, the shoreline is almost completely owned by industry. All of this pollution together makes Gary a less healthy place to live. The Environmental Protection Agency says states should keep this in mind when granting air permits. It's something called cumulative impacts. In the case of Maya Energy, IDEM says it doesn't have the authority to take that into account. The agency says it can't deny a permit or make it more strict based on environmental justice concerns alone. It says it can only look at a single permit and decide if it meets the rules or not. But experts at the EPA disagree.
If the question is whether or not some states, any state, has authority to take cumulative impacts into account in permitting, the answer is yes.
Lotto says nothing prevents a state like Indiana from factoring in total pollution in an area when granting permits. IDEM refused to provide us with an interview. When asked about his agency's lack of transparency, Governor Eric Holcomb's office repeatedly referred us back to IDEM. It's hard to say if GARD will win its case or even get a hearing. The EPA has taken up few federal civil rights complaints, and even fewer have been found in activists' favor. This summer, the agency abandoned a major civil rights investigation into Cancer Alley, a heavily industrial part of Louisiana that has some of the highest cancer rates due to air pollution in the country. Still, Kimmy Gordon says part of being an activist is not giving up hope.
We're not a throwaway city. We deserve nice parks in all areas of Gary. We deserve clean green spaces, clean air and water, and healthy people. And when you have healthy people, you have happy people. And so 20 years from now, I want to see a bunch of happy people.
It's not clear when the EPA will decide whether or not to take up the case. For Indiana Public Broadcasting, I'm Rebecca Thiel.